So today we've got a very controversial topic in bushcraft. The big survival knife. Does size really matter? I mean, of course it does. So we're going to start a fire, sit down by it and have a little talk about it. So first things first, basically, you've got your standard, beautiful, standard bushcraft knife. This is a TBS K720 steel, beautiful, high carbon, and it does nearly everything that you need a knife to do. Then I've got this, one of my new Fox LBX, I'll put it on the screen, whatever it is, but it's brand spanking new and never been used. Now, a long time ago, I got an email, or should I say a message on TikTok, that were asking me to go into a popular survival program, which was Naked and Afraid. And I was allowed to take one tool, and my tool that I decided to take was going to be something along the lines of my car-by-car BK7, because I've only got one tool. So I actually started to use the large survival knives, because to be fair with you, I was never really fond or took it out, and it was only until I was practicing for the challenge that I actually started to use the big survival knives, that I started to find that I was reaching for the big survival knife over any of my other knives. And this is because basically the tools of the trade in bushcraft are a hatchet, a saw, and then you've got your knife, right? Right tool for the right job. I understand that, and yeah, fair play. But all these are on your waist in a general camp situation. I want my knife out, take my knife out, do what I need to do carving wise, knife goes away, clips it back, get my saw out, unclip this, take the saw out, saw, and then goes away and come back, because you should always put your tools away once you've used them, you see. And it's same again with this, yeah? But what I've found is your big survival knives can pretty much do everything. So it goes pretty much, and especially with these pants do bits. Rather than with it just being on my hip and it dangling down, and then when I sit, it, you know, contacts the floor. You can get a dangler sheath so that it moves and stuff like that, but with this, I just put it in there like that. Normally with my car-by-car, of course, it goes in there, stays on my leg. It's got a nice sheath. Take it out, do what I need to do, drop it back in. And if I'm stood, it basically just stays there. I want to chop something, chop. I want to carve something, carve. And it does everything that I need it to be able to do. Now, the main question is, which I asked myself, what can, and I ask you this, right, write it in the comments, genuinely, because I'm stumped, to be fair with you. What can this knife do that this knife can't? But I can think of lots of things that this knife can do that this knife can't. The only thing that I can think about is your finer knife control and whittling and your fine knife work. But even still, that's not the right tool for the right job for that anyway. So nothing that I can think of that this knife can't do that this knife can, but there's plenty of things that this can do, and just ease of use that this can't. So we'll go through some demos basically, and I'll show you. So we're gonna do a little test, yeah? Something as simple as making stakes around the camp. So if I'm going for the full-blown right tools, I won't even, to be fair, I should take the hatchet. So for the start, I've got to put all this on my belt, which is a fucking ball ache as it is, right? I'm just gonna take the hatchet. The hatchet can hang somewhere there like this, silky. Once these are on, they're on, it don't matter, yeah? But It's just the initial getting tooled up. And then you've got all of these things hanging around your waist all the time. Like, it's not necessarily that I'm a lazy bushcrafter. It's just that when you're tired at camp, all the little actions, they all add up, right? So that is, you know, right tool for the right job setup, yeah? My hatchet for my big processing of wood, splitting wood, stuff like that. Saw for sawing, knife for cutting. Whereas I'll just take, because I don't want to ruin this nice edge, because it's still absolutely brand spanking new. It's not caressed a piece of wood yet, but the carbacar, yeah, just gets stuck in my leg there. Like that, yeah? Can leave it open if I need be. Happy days. So we're gonna go and basically take a stick off, turn it into a stake, and then I'm gonna take a stick off and turn it into a stake with a carbacar, and my lovely Karen man is gonna time me on both and just genuinely see how quick and how different it is. Then we're gonna do some fine carving tasks and stuff like that, and to see what the crack is. Might crack out the new edge on there just to see. And yeah, we'll go from there. Right, let's go. So I'm gonna try to pick equal size sticks here. 10 stake size. We'll do the carbacar first. There you go. Now we shall do the proper way. I'll give it a chance. We'll go with the hatchet. Another thing. And now, I mean, the other one didn't have the issue with this little limb on it, but you get the idea. Chest lever cutting technique. Oh, you didn't time it, Declan. I'll do it on the video afterwards. There we go. That goes back in. And then, there we go. Now if I was to repeat that process with a saw, we'll do this little one here. Now the only reason that I would actually give the saw its due is because it cuts very straight cuts. Now you can do that with a big survival knife just by batoning the back of it, but it's not quite, I suppose I could do this saw. Yeah, well, I'll do this stick. This is one of the most powerful cutting techniques as well that you can use to get this edge down nice and quick. But the big survival knives, man, they do this just easier and faster, in my opinion. And then even still, the cutting power of one of these, even on this thinner stick, is just not there. You know what I mean? It's just peasantry. Live blade. That should have gone away, to be fair with you, before I started moving that around. But when you're out in the field, it's always the best time to practice it, but when you just try to get stuff done, all these little tasks, man, they're just have a ball ache. And there you go. So as for processing down wood and just making things just quickly on the fly, like I say, the carbacar, man, or the big survival knives. I mean, even look at this, decent size. Take that one. Take that one, and then I want to process this down further. Drop it in there. See, the axe is in the way. That's what you should do before you are moving any large. That's oak. Dead oak. Straight through. And that's a dull blade as well, like you can see how battered it is. Bit close at fingers. So yeah, I'd say that's a win-1 for the big survival knife. Proof's in pudding. Just the process of changing everything, opening stuff. I mean, yeah, that's pretty good. That sheath is good. If you just drop it in and it just stays there. You sit down, yeah, it might fall out by side of camp, but nice, quick, pop over, happy days. I'm gonna actually make one of these sheaths for my other knife. Next we'll move on to, I mean, batoning. I mean, it's hands down. I can baton with this, but I just burn wood in half. I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, lazy bushcrafter. It's not a case of, it's all about preserving energy. It's as simple as that. You know, being lazy or just not sawing all your bits of wood, wasting all your blades and stuff like that, when I can literally just get a piece of wood this big and burn it in half and then just fold it in half. So processing down wood, it's never been a problem. I don't even use my big tools for processing down wood. We'll do some fine carving techniques next. Right. Outside of this unreasonable amount of tools on my side, we're gonna get the carbacar out. I'm gonna use the carbacar because it's a knife that is not as sharp as my other one, and it's more of a true test, so to speak. Where's my other bit of wood gone? Yeah, this one. I'm using this. Notches. I'm using the same bit of wood, and this test isn't necessarily to prove that this knife is better than my other knife, because they're going to be about the same, right? This test will be to show that the big knife is just as capable as the little knife at carving notches, which is your finer knife work for triggers and stuff like that, which is what you want it for. So I'm just going to carve a notch for a trigger, and I'll do this with both knives. So I'm not even going to do it with the other knife, to be fair with you. There's no point, because you know they can be done. And I know I can do all this because, like I say, I made a lot of traps in training for Naked and Afraid. So there we go. It's a decent notch there, yeah? Now the trickier one is a 7 notch, which basically goes back on itself, and it's got like a beak that comes down, a little bit like this one. This needs to be flattened off, to be fair with you. Because with a 7 notch, you've got to get underneath. But that's a good trigger notch. So I'm going to start by biting into the wood this way to get that beak. The hardest thing about a 7 notch is getting back underneath. There we go. Starting to form that 7 notch there. I need more beak underneath. If you've got it going, it's easier to do. And there you go. A 7. It goes under like that. So it hooks traps, trap triggers just that little bit better. This is flatter. That hooks it on a beak. Keep carving, in there upwards and then carving down there that way, and then you're good. The next would be the log cabin. Now the log cabin notch is one that you use for furniture and kind of locking two sticks together like so, right? So what I would do with this one is, same again, normally I'd use a saw, put 2 cuts in. Halfway down, and then, I mean, don't get me wrong, if I was to be going out on a camp like when I'm going out on Friday, I will take everything. But I just find that I just never use it, to be fair. All I've got to do now is carve this one this way, carve that one that way, knock the middle out. Against my stop cut, carve that one, take them bits off. Anything's biting a bit too much, too deep. And this is beech, this. So I'm using a reinforced thumb technique. There you go. Yeah. And then another one that I tend to use is basically just going to put in an indentation all the way around there as a little bit of a groove to hold some paracord. Same again, big knife, easy peasy. Just roll it round. So I've got lots of real estate with the blade. Bit of a stop cut in there, and then I'm just going to carve towards that on one side, carve towards that on the other side. I mean, to be fair with you, the big survival knives are the knives that they send the military behind enemy lines with. So that will give you an idea of something that you can do with a big survival knife rather than a small one. Hunting, processing game, going through bits of bone. If you had one tool, it will be the big survival knife. And it's not even like I'm trying to advocate everyone goes round with, there you go, look, big knives. It's just, to me personally, easier to use, more useful. Then the last thing, or one of the last things you can do with a big survival knife, is if you was to get a stick like this, now you can either split it, put that in, wedge it in, yeah, bind the top, and then you can use it as a draw knife. Now it's not ideal, definitely not ideal, because if it slips out, it's not going to be good, but same again, look at all of that real estate there with the blade, yeah, that I've got to use as a draw knife, whereas my smaller knife, you know, you've got a good amount of purchase in there, you've only got this much. Something to think about, boys. If you haven't got a big survival knife, honestly, just get one. Nice cheap one, see if you like it, and then go out into one of your more expensive ones. And I bet you'll find that you keep reaching for the survival knife more than you reach for your smaller bushcraft knife. Because like I say, I've got these axes. I never use my axe, never use my axe. Like I say, big wood. Like, you know, there's no point processing shit like that down. Just chuck it on, burns in half, like that. Chuck it back on. So firewood and firewood processing, nah. Even if you did, you want to actually, you know, have a proper camp, saw big pieces of wood, stuff like that. You're not going to be using a silky to do that. You're just not. It's as simple, you're going to have a big bow saw, yeah, to really draw across wood, you know, talking bits like this, to then split in half with a big axe. Not a small forest hatchet. Like I say, I've got them, I just don't use them, ever. My saw, more so, I can see, but it definitely has got an argument for replacing the regular survival knife, or the regular knife, with something like that. So yeah, think of anything else that you can't do with this that you can do with a normal knife, leave it in the comments. Right, so next we've got stuff that the big survival knife can do that the little knife can't do. So say for example, I wanted some strong supports for something like a thermal A-frame shelter. I'll be looking at something about this thickness, tree-wise. This is actually a dead beech, so it's seasoned, which is not ideal. When they're actually young, you can bend them over, hit them once, and the tension in the back of the branch when you hit it breaks all the fibres, it goes through easier. But if I did want to chop this down with this and you've got one cut on the back, opposite there. Knife just drops in the pocket. There we go. Another thing, very easy, de-limbing. So there's obviously lots of nasty limbs on here that I don't want. So what I'll do is turn my back to where I'm cutting from, because this is quite a strong cutting angle down, plus all of my vital areas are all well out of the way. That one, that one, that one, that one, and then I'm not going to want this straggly bit, so there you go. That we've taken what? I'd have to get my hatchet out, I suppose I could do that. Plus, with the hatchet, with all the weight being at the head, you know what? We shall try it. I need some supports. Doing a shelter build next. Hatchet time. The same again, it's another tool that I'm taking out. In my opinion, for no reason. That one. Right. And there's no drop holster. There probably is quicker methods of doing this, but you get the idea. Always safe. Right, camera died. But the big knife is just as fast as a forest hatchet, so it does the job. And then same again, but same again, yeah, with this. Yeah, you might have more purchase for swing because the weight's at the head, but don't feel as nice to do this with. Two knocks, one knock. I mean, I like my hatchet, to be fair. You can just see just a little bit more unwieldy. It's not as smooth. And I've had this hatchet for 15 years. Right, that's about the same diameter branch that the other knife, the big knife, went through in a wunner. Nearly. And there you go. So yeah, I'm still thinking. Processing wood, piece of piss. It batons well. I prefer batoning over splitting because you've got more control. Place the knife on top of the wood, exactly where you want it. Balance it, hit it with a stick. I know a lot of people beef about batoning, but same again, if you've got a big fat blade, I just can't think of anything. I really wanted my nice expensive TBS to be the one, but it's just not. The big knife does the job of the hatchet well, as you've seen, does the job of the small knife carving well, as you've seen, and the saw has got possibly a use case. Nice straight clean cuts, especially for traps. Like if I had a saw on me, but to be fair, I'd take my big survival knife and my Leatherman, because my Leatherman kind of thing has got a little saw blade attachment on it, and it's a lot smaller, and that's what I'll be using it for, notch. So yeah, if you like this kind of stuff, yeah, don't forget, YouTube thinks about this video over here, and subscribe to the channel. And like I say, if you can think of any kind of thing that the big survival knife can't do, that the little bushcraft knives can do, leave it in the comments. And I've said it like 9 times, but I genuinely want to hear from other people, and I'll test it out. Bye.